All right, Yellowjackets finishing up their first GNAC series of the season. Casey, a tough series at Central Washington. You walked away with one win in 4 games. Although it seemed like you guys could have won any of those 4 games, you were in each one of them. No game decided by more than 2 runs. Just talk about the battle you guys had out there.
Right, it was a good battle with Central, and honestly, I'm not too worried. Starting off the year 1-3 because we did the exact same thing at Central last year, and we ended up winning the GNAC. But no, tough series overall. It was a real fight for us. Battling with them. 2 runs decided between each game, but it just goes to show that offensively, defensively, and on the mound, all little mistakes that we make do come back and bite us and do hurt us, and it showed going 1-3.
And talk about the fight that your team has. Even in the games that you lost, you were down and you came back to tie the score multiple times. You just refused to give up. Just came up a little short. And even in the game you won, you had the lead, then got down, but you came back and won it. Talk about the fight the team has.
Right. I think our team, we work so well as a team and have great chemistry together, and I think that it all starts in the dugout and the energy that we have. Cheering each other on from the dugout on the field. When we make a good pitch, a good play, a good hit. That's where it all starts, and it all starts with one person, and from there it snowballs and just adds on, and we do a really good job of doing that as a team.
You had a big home run this weekend. Talk about that at bat, what you saw, and just how it felt coming off your bat.
I believe it was a first pitch fastball, and I wasn't looking to do too much with it. Just stay in my approach and hit a line drive the other way, and I happened to keep my hands inside, and I guess I just barreled it up well enough to carry it out.
Is there something to do with that? Both your career home runs have come against Central Washington. Is that just a coincidence, you think, or you like their pitching?
I don't know. You could say it's a coincidence. You could say it's not. I don't know. My whole life playing baseball, I have no more than double-digit home runs. So a home run for me, I guess, is pretty lucky when I stay in the right approach. So you could say it's a coincidence.
And talk about your outfield as a whole. You have a really solid core there. 4 guys who are all standouts offensively and defensively. You, Luke Reinschmidt, Miles Berkram, and Zach Robinson, the one newcomer. Talk about that group as a whole.
I love our outfield. I think, 3 juniors and a senior. I think we're very veteran out there. We know what we're doing. We work very well together. We're great offensively and defensively, and we all have speed. And even next year, when Luke does graduate, we'll still have us 3 for being seniors, and I think it's just a good group of guys.
And talk about Tanner Watson. He missed last year with an injury, but he's had a big impact so far, both at the plate and on the mound. He had a big 2-run single there in your win, and then he turned around and pitched excellent in the final game of the series.
Right, Tanner did great. He stepped up to a big call because he unexpectedly got the game 4 start when our other starter was sick, and so he did a great job for us on the mound and at the plate as well, doing great in the DH spot and or pinch hitting. He's a guy that we'll need and that we'll need to count on, being as how we have few lefties in our pitching rotation too.
And looking forward to this week. You're on the road again, play at Northwest Nazarene, a 4-game series. The last time you guys played in Nampa, you won all 4. You swept the series, and that kicked off your big run there to the GNAC title. What are your thoughts heading in there this weekend and taking on NNU?
Right. Well, I think with last week, we got to learn from what our mistakes were. But going into this week, we can't look at last year and say we went 4-0 and it was an easy thing, because with that mentality, it's not gonna work like that. So going into this week, we just need to control what we can, do the little things right, do the fundamentals, and just stay in our approach. Don't be too big at the plate, too big on the mound or on defense. Just do what we can and do what we can control and have good energy.
And it's a bit of a homecoming for you, being an Idaho native. Talk about the opportunity to play, not in your hometown, but in your home state there.
Right, yeah. I always like going to NNU because that's closest to family, so I always get to see family when I go there, and a whole bunch of other friends from Boise that I do know. But it's great. I love seeing my family and getting the opportunity to play in front of them.
I mean, we were really close. There was just a few breaks that we didn't get, a few things we could have done better. Ideally, we could have walked away with 3 out of 4, but it wasn't meant to be. We got a lot of games left to go, and this series, we need to do well this week.
And you're one of the younger leaders on the team, being that you got a lot of experience as a freshman last year. One of the key differences for you this year is you're in the lineup as well as serving as a team's closer. Talk about that transition for you and what it's meant to be able to contribute on both sides.
I mean, I didn't hit last year. I dislocated my shoulder and had to get surgery for that. So, I mean, I really miss hitting. It's definitely a part that I really love, and it's been a great honor to be able to contribute both on the mound and in the box.
And talk a little bit about that mentally. You have to be prepared to go up there, get maybe 4 at-bats in a game, a regular in the lineup. But then if it's a close game at the end, you might need to go down to the bullpen after sliding into home and get ready to come in. Talk about that.
I mean, this last weekend it was tough. I was definitely a lot of breath and a little out of it, but you just got to grind through it and do whatever you can to help the team out.
And you've been getting it done at the plate, a lot of key hits. You even have a couple of home runs this season. Talk about how you felt comfortable with your approach up there despite not even hitting it all last year.
Just went back to the basics and swing hard, look for a fastball, and adjust from there.
And talk about some of the teammates around you who have been playing well. It's a very veteran squad. What have you learned from some of the older guys? Your whole infield is all seniors. So when you have guys like that behind you, how does that help you on the mound?
It makes things so much better. I know I got guys like Morris, Toon at first, Stern at second, Durbin at third. Makes you really comfortable on the mound when you know the guys behind you are going to make the plays.
And you got to play quite a bit last year. You were a regular as a pitcher, so you've seen this league. You know how competitive it is. You're going into Nampa this week to take on the Crusaders. What does it take to bounce back after a series that didn't go quite how you wanted it to go and rebound this week?
It's all about grinding. You got to take it one pitch at a time, one at bat, one inning, and just do what you can with what you got. Throw strikes, have a good approach at the plate, make the easy plays, and the rest will make up for itself.
And last season, this is a place you guys had success. You went to Nampa and swept them on the road. How much does that tie into your mindset, knowing that your team has the ability to do that, but at the same time it's a new season and new teams all the way around?
I mean, we have the ability to beat everybody in this league. We're a great team. It all comes down to if we can put it together, and I think we will. And guys just got to throw strikes, got to grind at the plate, got to have a high energy, can't let any inning have any more importance. Like this last weekend, had a little bit more energy late in the game. Had we had that energy throughout the game and competed the same way, I think we would have done much better, and we need to adjust in that way.
And then lastly, last year you guys had the chance to host the GNAC championships, regular season title. Talk about what that meant for you in your first season to have that experience and how you're striving to do that again.
Oh, that was great. Second year actually, I redshirted my freshman year, but first year traveling with the team, having the opportunity to host the tournament and play with such a great group of guys and have that much success my first year was unbelievable.
You know, the first day, I just really thought we didn't play very clean defensively. You know, both games we had to fight from behind, and our guys we battled and we fought the whole time, and I was really proud of just how we competed. In the first game, you know, we have the tying run on first base and another runner on second base, and Toon nearly misses a double to end the game with a bullet, and the first baseman makes a nice play. And the last game, you know, Casey Merritt's got the tying run on third base with 2 down in the last inning, and he hits a line drive, and you know their shortstop makes a nice play. And so it's one of those things where sometimes you just have to chalk it up to baseball. I mean, we can play better, and but Central's a very good team, and looking around the league, I feel like we're going to see a lot of this year where, boy, everybody is capable of beating anyone. Concordia had a good opening weekend, you know, splitting with Western, and NNU is a much improved team, and St. Martin's, even though they're young, I mean, they've competed really well early in the season. So I think I told our guys, you know, not to get discouraged. We're going to play a lot of 1- and 2-run games this year, and we just hope that, you know, we can make the plays early in the game to put ourselves in a little better position when it comes down to the end of the game.
And one of the guys having a nice weekend at the plate was Coulter Sternhagen, one of your seniors. He had a slow start to the season, but his bat really woke up. He had 3 big doubles in one of the games, and you mentioned over the weekend, even when he wasn't necessarily getting a hit, he was putting great at bats together, working the pitch count deep, and then defensively he was excellent as well. Just talk about his effort in those 4 games last week.
Well, Stern he was just great on defense. He was great. He made 2 or 3 plays that you just don't see made at second base. And then, you add to that, which you would take that if a guy didn't have a great weekend at the plate, and he had 5 hits and I think 3 doubles and a bunch of RBIs, and had, like you said, had good at bats. And I think that when I look at our whole team, that's really what we look at is, are we having good grinding at bats? Are we getting ourselves into positions to put good swings on good pitches? And if we are, you can't be too upset about the result. If you're putting the barrel on the baseball, you're making the other team work for their outs. I think offensively, if we're doing that, more often than not, the result's going to turn out in our favor. I think for us, when we maybe start to go the other way is when we're just we're giving away a few at bats. So we just need to shore that up. Stern was awesome. We had other guys that had good weekends at the plate in the way of just giving you a good at bat. Toone's always going to give you a good at bat. Casey Merritt's always going to give you a good at bat. We had a couple guys that were really off this weekend, and we expect those guys to bounce back. So we're relatively healthy, and our guys are going to fight, and we're going to have a good week of practice, and hopefully be ready to put our best foot forward.
Another notable performance worth mentioning, Tanner Watson came in Game 3 of the series and had that big 2-run single as a big swing of the bat, and then he had to turn around and pitch. He wasn't really expecting to start, but you had to deal with one of your starters getting ill with food poisoning, and then that jumbled your rotation. So talk about Tanner not only offensively at the plate, but coming in and pitching a great game on the mound.
Yeah, Tanner, if you come watch practice every day, he's one of our best guys at the plate. We're just in a spot where, it's first base or DH for him, and we're just a little clogged up at those spots. So, we've just tried to get him as many pinch hit at bats as we can and get him into DH when we can. And, he's coming in and facing Getman, who's unbelievable on the mound, and really that's a really tough assignment with 2 down. And he had a great 5 or 6 pitch at bat and hit a 2-strike slider and just was fantastic. And then on no notice, he found out he was starting in the meeting after that game. So it was a deal where, when you have a little adversity, and so we have a guy sick, and it just is what it is. Somebody's going to get the ball, and Tanner surely deserved that opportunity. And he went out and was pretty good. Threw 78 or 80 pitches, and really didn't make a bad pitch until the 6th inning. They got 1 big hit, but still just pitched great. And you can't really say enough about that kind of a performance for a guy coming off the bench. So he was terrific.
Shifting your focus to this weekend, the last time you guys played in Nampa, you swept the Crusaders, won all 4 games last season, and it kicked off that big run. You guys went on to win the regular season title. I know it's a new year, but what's your approach heading in there this weekend, knowing you've had success there in the past, and what are some goals to bounce back after a 1-3 start in GNAC play?
Well, I think for us, we really we just try to take the whole season and break it into 10 4-game series. So, if we would have won 3 last weekend, or we would have lost all 4 last weekend, I guess my hope is that we would prepare exactly the same. I know that it can be a little bit emotional for the guys, but we've really just tried to get to the point where, hey, we're just preparing this week for NNU. We know we're going to see 4 great starting pitchers. They have a really good lineup, and they returned virtually all of their guys in their lineup, and they added a few new faces that are guys that can really swing the bat. So they're a very experienced team. They're going to pitch extremely well, and they have really high hopes for their season as well. So, as far as what do we talk about in the way of are we trying to go get a certain amount of wins or anything like that? Not really. We're just going to go out there and try to go get game 1 and kind of go from there. I guess from an overall conference perspective, the teams that do well at the end of the year, they win some games on the road. So whether that happens this weekend or at some point, it definitely needs to happen if we're gonna be a team that's in the mix at the end of the deal. Every team has a major turning point in each season, and last year it was honestly playing our worst series of the year at Western, losing 3, getting rained out in the 4th, and really just having a miserable weekend, and our guys bounced back strong, and we really played well for the rest of the year. So we're hoping this weekend is a weekend that we can look back on and say, hey, we really started to put it together there. But from a shorter term focus, we're just trying to prepare and be in a spot to be healthy going into the weekend, play our best baseball. If you play well and lose, you can always live with it. I think the thing that stings a little bit at Central is we felt like we gave them some runs that they didn't earn. So you want the other team to beat you if you're going to lose. So that's really our goal. Go out, play the best we can, and make the other team earn every run that they get, and just see how it falls.